Hey Sarah, you mentioned in one of your assignments for Chapter 5, the skills review, that you were unable to get the radial gradient, I believe is what the issue was, to work for you. And so I thought I would just real quickly give you a brief demo as to how you make that happen, and hopefully that will help you out next time you run into this kind of a situation. So I'm going to do a file save as, and this is supposed to be the fire truck. So you've already done it once and actually, I don't know, somehow lost it. So we are going to redo it. You want to make sure that the rulers are displayed, which they are. Make sure that they're in pixels, which they are. And I always start the crosshairs right up here in the upper left-hand corner. And we want to use the eyedropper tool to sample the red color at 90x and 165y. And of course I cannot see that with beans, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Get the eyedropper tool and we're going to follow it to 90x and 165y, which is right where they have those crosshairs at. And you'll see that as soon as I sampled that with the eyedropper, that went into the foreground color. Now we're going to use the paint bucket tool to apply the new foreground color to the background color. So we're going to click on background. You always have to make sure that's your active layer. And then, let's see, where is the paint bucket? I go through this all the time. I think it's under gradient. Yep. So that now we have the paint bucket tool, we have the foreground color, and we have the background layer highlighted. If you just click, and that automatically adds that, that color to the background. Now we're going to undo our last step using either the edit memory or the history panel. I'm just going to do a Command or Control Z because that's a lot easier to do. If you want to go back more than one step, you would really need to do a Command or Control, depending on what system you're on, Option or Alt. Say you're on a Mac, you would do Command, Option, and Z, and that allows you to step back more steps than just one. And then we are going to again switch the foreground and background colors. And then do a Command or Control S to save our work. We're going to use the Set Foreground Color button to open the Color Picker dialog box. So if you go here and click once, that will bring up the Color Picker dialog box. We're going to click the R. You see where it goes to in the Color Picker box, the G, and the B. Now with the B option button selected, we are going to click the panel in the upper left-hand corner and then click OK. And now we want to switch the foreground and background colors again, and you do that with that little double-headed arrow, not error, arrow. And now we're going to add the foreground color red to the swatches panel using a meaningful name of our choosing. So I'm going to bring the swatches panel out here, and I've already added it once, so they may not let me add it again, but I'm going to click here, and you'll see that what happens is the new foreground color immediately comes up into the color swatches to be named. So I'm going to again call it Fire Engine Red with a 2 behind it to let me know that I've done this twice. And there it is added to the swatches panel. Now we want to make the fire truck layer active. And then we're going to revert to the default foreground and background colors. And you just click on this to make that happen. And now we're going to create a border by applying a 2-pixel stroke outside stroke to the fire truck. So first of all, you need to make sure that you have the fire truck layer active. We're going to go down here to layer style, and if you click on that, that will bring up the panel that allows you to add a stroke. That then brings up a dialog box, and again it's going to be 2 pixels. The position is going to be outside, and the color is going to be black. And you'll see that that stroke is indeed applied. Do Command or Control S to save your work. Now we're going to blend some colors using the gradient tool, and I think that maybe this is where you ran into some issues. We're going to change the foreground color to the fourth swatch from the left in the top of the swatches panel. So we're going to go up to the swatches panel, and it's the fourth color to the left. What? In the top, oh, from the left in the top row, which mine is at that location. Yours may vary, so just be aware of that. The name that you want to look for is RGB Cyan. Now we're going to switch the foreground and background colors. We're going to use the new red swatch that we just added a moment ago, so we need to look up here for that new red swatch. Now we're going to make that background layer active. Verify that the blending mode is normal. That's not available anyway because the background layer is locked, so I would need to double click on that, and then you'll see that the blending mode then does become available to us. Now, using the gradient tool, foreground to background fill, and the radial gradient default settings, using the guides to help, we're going to drag the pointer from 90 and 70 to 145 and 165, and I'm pretty sure that that's showing. So first thing that we're going to do is get the gradient tool back. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to click on that to make sure that it is the foreground to background, which it is. And then you want to go to these settings over here, and we are going to use the radial gradient. Make sure that that's clicked. And you can just use the default settings for whatever for that one. And then we're using the guides to help. We're going to drag the pointer from 90/70 to 145. And I can't see that last one, but I'm pretty sure it's at this guide. And there you go. All right, so hopefully that helps. If not, let me know and I will be happy to do another step for you. Thanks, Sarah.